Alright, now it says preparing stream. It says we're live. Testing 1, 2, 3. Come on. Okay, alright, I think we're up. I don't know why the quality is awful, but it is what it is. Hopefully that's just the bit rate. Well, is what it is. Alright, we gotta paint some minis. So let's paint some mimis. Nice. Thank you, Unused Taco. I shall knight you and upgrade you to used taco. Alright, so the first things we need to do is we need to clean these things up. And we need really good lighting to do this. One of the downsides of printing in black is that you can't hardly see anything. If you get the layer lines just right like that, you can get like that little shine. Ooh, there we go, look at that. The reflective shiny layer, part of the layer that stuck to the FEP film. And that can help sometimes. Oh, that's our underside right there. See all the little dots? We're not going to cut those off though. We're gonna grab these. Grab one of these. And for Kickle Cubicles and Giga Goals, we're going to grab a little brush too. Because at this scale, dust will look like something that needs to be gotten. And we're just going to smooth these little pock marks out. And hope we don't cut away at anything important. It's been known to happen, but we don't talk about it very much. So we're going to start with, I already forgot his name. Ezra. Because Ezra Nehemiah. Oh, Daniel, Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nehemiah, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Bro, do you even books of the Old Testament? And we're just going to sand these little guys down. So our process tonight is going to be sand down the little pock marks. And then we're going to glue them to the base. And then we're going to throw some paint on these guys. I was trying to work up a thing to use my new airbrush that I got for my birthday. It was my birthday or Christmas, one of the two. They're close to each other, so they get mixed up. I don't have a compressor that works with it though. I was trying to see if I could get a fitting that would hook it to the little portable compressor that I have with this one. Different size, couldn't find a fitting for it. So I'm actually gonna have to get like an actual compressor on the floor that goes on the floor and stuff. I'm excited to try it out though. It's a dual action airbrush, which means that you press down for air pressure and then you slide back for paint, so it's got like a variable air pressure. This one that I have here is just like constant air pressure and paint. Like they both go at the same time. But, you know, to step up to a big boy air compressor. This one's made for like farmers markets and trade shows and stuff, where you like airbrush paint onto somebody's face or like airbrush cakes. But I used it for like years, and it's like the only airbrush that I'm actually used to, so I'm actually a little nervous about trying something different. I'm sure it'll be better, but, you know, I've only ever used this kind of airbrush before. So, for better or worse, I'm like really, really used to it. Little sparking angel. Alright, now which one was his base? His had the grass. He did not put his name on the bottom of his base, so we don't have to do anything fancy like that. Alright, let's go ahead and base him and magnetize him. Oops, oops! There goes my camera, because I bonked a thing. Are we back? Hold on. There we go. Wow, okay. I'm doing a new thing with my camera too. It should be a lot better quality. I have a lightning... Yeah, the void came back, guys. I have a lightning to HDMI adapter, and I'm piping it through my Elgato capture card. So it should be pulling it in at like a really nice quality. A lot better than I've used in the past, which is exciting. We're just going to glue this guy to the base. We're going to use cyanoacrylate, which is what nerds call super glue. And let's go something like that. GMV! Belly and I were just talking about you last night, in last night's stream. How you doing? Hola, my nerd. Yeah, Belly just like randomly showed up in a stream. It was like, we were just like, I wonder what GMV's up to. Hadn't heard and seen anything from you in forever. And I was like, well, his Discord's still around. I don't talk in there, but I see him in there and his stuff. I hope you're doing really well. About time I had an interesting stream. I forgot the salt. Oh, I missed me some GMV salt. You're ridiculous. Oh boy. Alright, and I magnetize all of my minis. For those of you unaware. That. And we put a little blob of glue onto... Oops, you guys can't see that. Onto there. Going through chemo, but symptoms aren't too bad. Only a few more infusions. Oh man, I hate to hear it, but I'm glad to hear that it's not going bad and that you only have a few more left. Life sure does throw you curveballs, huh? Let's put glue on there. And hope I put enough glue on because I have not done this in a while. Yeah, so last Thursday, I had a couple guys from my Bible study group at church. Some of the best guys you'll ever meet with your face. Approach me and be like, "Hey, we wanted to try learning to play D&D," and so we've been. Last Thursday was our first game, and decided to make some minis for them. Let's let that dry while we work on this one. So these are player characters, and our campaign. Well, our 3-shot game that honestly might turn into a campaign. Ah, I gotcha. Our campaign is called Dark Sun. And it's not to be confused with the Dark Sun setting. And I realized after the fact that there is a Dark Sun setting that's like pretty brutal, if I remember correctly. It's like really grim and really violent and really like pretty brutal. But in my last, well, the second to last big campaign that also started with the church group, that was like, hey, we'd like to learn how to play D&D. They ended up like getting super duper sidetracked and abandoned the first whole villain, and he ended up succeeding in his plans, and now the entire overworld is cast into darkness. So I'll just go through the hey, what's going on, Max Confusion? My campaign 3, this is campaign 5. Campaign 3, I ran for some church folks who were like, hey, we want to learn how to play D&D, and I was like, sure, let's do like a little introduction game. Let's do the starter adventure, Lost Mines of Phandelver, and we'll just do it for like a couple weeks, and you know, you'll learn how to play and stuff like that, and it'll be fun. And so we did that, and they did great on the first session. And when I was prepping for it, I was like, I've already played this like a time or two, and it feels like it has like holes in it. Like there's Lost Mines of Phandelver doesn't have a very interesting story. It's like you're supposed to meet with Gundren Rockseeker and some other dwarves and help them like reclaim the lost mine of Phandelver, and there's, you know, stuff like that, and there's like this drow called the Black Spider, and it wasn't super duper interesting just by default. And so I was scrubbing around online, and I found this guy that kind of did some work to help dungeon masters like spice up adventures a little bit and flesh some things out. And I ended up borrowing a little from there and a little from myself, like from my own imagination. And what I came up with was, you know, the drow, they live in the Underdark, and they're a matriarchal society. So in Menza Baranzan, the drow city in the Underdark, it's like ruled by the ladies. And so the Black Spider, Neznar is his name. He's from Menza Baranzan, and And he's like really frustrated by not being able, like he's really talented, but really, and has like lust for power and great ambitions, but he's kind of like stuck where he's at. And instead of trying to overthrow Menza Baranzan, he decides to try to take over the overworld. But now Drow, they are weak to sunlight, right? They can see great in the dark, nearly perfect in the dark, but they're sensitive to sunlight. And so what I ended up coming up with is there is a room in Wave Echo Cave in Lost Mines of Phandelver. There's one. I think this one is her base. Yes. Oh yeah, it's got her name on it. So in Wave of Echo Cave, there's this room called the Spell Forge. And I don't remember if it is consequential to the Lost Mines of Phandelver's story or not. But it's like old, and you can get like a little bonus from it if you do a thing with it or something. And there's like a, what are those one-eyed creatures? Not gazers or beholders. They're like humanoids, and they have one big eye, and the lore behind them is that they're like corrupted old wizards or something. I don't remember. But anyway, they end up like the Spell Forge was used to like produce or improve magical items or something like that. And so what I ended up doing is I changed the lore a little bit, and I made it so that the Spell Forge was like really potent at like amplifying currently existing. Like it was more for reforging magic items than it was for forging them. And so what the Black Spider's purpose was, like what his goal was, is he found out that he found an old wand of wishes, or like this magic wand that could like warp reality a little bit. It was made out of electrum. It was like this inert electric rod thing that had some spells cast on it. And so he wanted to reforge it into a wand of wishes, and then he would wish for the surface world to become shackled in darkness so that he could rule it. They would suppress the people who are already there, and he could very easily take his drow brethren and establish a kingdom on the surface. And so he had the Electrum Rod, and he was trying to make his way there. Or it was something like he had it hidden and was like there, like nearby waiting, or like trying to find a way in. And anyway, so he had his lieutenant bringing it to him. It's been a while. This has been like 5-6 years ago that we played this part of the game. And so in the beginning of the Lost Mines of Phandelver episode, I actually started at the end of the game. I started with them in Wave Echo Cave, around the Spell Forge. The Black Spider was there, and he had already succeeded in one and had created the Wand of Wishes, and he was about to cast his wish, and Gundren Rockseeker was there, and he like sacrificed his life to try and get the wand from them, and was able to do it, and wished to give his friends another chance, or his friends to have a chance. And you know how when you cast the wish spell, fate kind of twists things a little bit. So it ended up resetting time all the way back to before they met him, and this, that, and the other. And it was kind of supposed to be like a way to like foreshadow a little bit of what was going on in the story. Well, they didn't do any of that. They didn't meet Gundren Rockseeker like at all. They were supposed to meet him, and then it just didn't happen. In the first little encounter, you're supposed to run into some goblins that have captured, oh, what's his name? He's got He's got a fantastic name. He's like this human. He's like something Silverwind or I don't remember. Silverhall. But anyway, you're supposed to like fight these little goblins, and I was going to foreshadow that like the Electrum Rod and the Wand of Wishes and stuff like that, and the Black Spider's lieutenant was going to be there and was going to have it, and like they were going to like, oh haha, we're not going to worry about these scrubs. So they're going to overhear him talking about it and then take off and this, that, and the other. Well, my wife was interested in joining the game, and she didn't want to make a new character, and she kind of wanted to play with some friends and stuff. And so I just let her bring her character along, and her character was like 3, maybe 4 levels higher than the rest of the party. She was only at like 3 or 4, and the rest of the party was like at 1. And me, as a DM noob, made the noob mistake of mixing high and low level party members. That's going to be a little bit of a problem, because that is too big for right there. All right. Yeah, it was 100% my fault. Let's see if we can use a bunch of these little ones. Maybe that'll work. 100% my fault, but she ends up just like whipping out this massive 3rd level. Like she's level 3 or 4, so she's got like high level spells, comparatively speaking. Totally destroys this lieutenant, and they end up getting the wand. So that's first thing that's like way off course, and I'm like, I didn't plan for this. I don't know how. I guess the Black Spider is gonna want his Electrum Rod back, you know, and we're kind of like going through stuff like that. Then in our previous game that she played in, she had a leftover magic item called the Key to the Eternal Staircase, and it was like a partially homebrewed setting that was based on it's based on a real thing called the Infinite Staircase. I believe it's what's the setting that has like the elemental planes and stuff? What's that one called? It's got the Lady of Pain and the City of Sigil, or Sigil, however you want to pronounce it. You know what I'm talking about? These little magnets are not going to work. What is it? What in the world is that setting called? Yeah, I can't remember the name. Am I crafting doggos? I am not crafting doggos. I am crafting players. Hello, Sparkly Dark Matter. It's good to see you again. Alright, I apologize to Venlania, but I'm going to have to carve part of the name off of the bottom of your mini to make this fit. You'll still be Venlania in my heart. Anyway, it's kind of a part of that setting, and in that game we were like in the plane of air, because we kept joking about it being called the airplane. And anyway, so we had this setting called the Infinite Staircase, or the Eternal Staircase, and so it was like this multi-dimensional planescape. That's it. Thank you so much, GMB. So we had this setting, or like this magic item that I kind of improvised. I was like, you know what, this thing's really cool. This Infinite Staircase that, you know, you could randomly open up a door and it would like maybe be connected to the Infinite Staircase and it could take you to other places and stuff like that. Well, they ended up getting a key to the Infinite Staircase that you can just like unlock, like you can slot into any door, and it unlocks a path to the infinite staircase. And I thought that was really cool. And it was a really big part of like that last game and this, that, and the other, but I'd forgotten that she had it as an item. And so the Black Spider is like freaking out because they have his Electrum Rod, and she's really powerful. And so he like sends his Hobgoblin army to Phandelver, or Phandalin, and the players are like all freaking out, and they don't want to fight him because they're like really intimidating. Another noob mistake as a DM is I made the army seem like way bigger and way more powerful than they actually were. I had actually planned it for them to be able to like take some of them out and whatnot. So she decides to unlock the city gate and the big heavy door at the front of the city, and creating a giant landing in the Eternal Staircase, and like ships the whole town out through it. And they just leave. And then they end up getting curious with the Eternal Staircase, so they keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and then they end up in like a couple of these other planes and plane hopping around here and there in the other place. And then they do this whole big multi-year campaign in the Feywild, and in the, I think they went to the or almost went to the Shadowfell, but they had like a whole bunch of places through the Feywild and a bunch of other planes and stuff. And then they just like, the game ended. And it was just like, okay. And so like some stuff happened, and the Electrum Rod ended up getting back to the Black Spider. And so now he has it. And yeah, and so like now the world is shackled. Like the sun has the moon shackled in front of it. It's just kind of locked in perpetual darkness or twilight. And this campaign is taking place 40 years after the fact. So most of the animals are dead. Most of the vegetation is dead, or if not all the vegetation is dead. The only thing that's surviving right now is when Nesnar cast the spell, that like it didn't destroy the sun, it like shackled the moon in front of it. But Lathander, the Morning Lord, the god of the sun, he summoned a small sun, or like small suns, these large balls of light that they call beacons, and they hover over the cities that he has churches in, and they cast this bubble of liquid light around the cities. And so these specific cities that were very devout to Lathander have been saved. They're able to grow crops, they have vegetation. They also have a lot of refugees. Like most other cities are just like destroyed or abandoned. And there's like these really nasty night creatures that rule the surface. So yeah, that's the setting for the game. The players are members of the Church of Lathander, and they're part of like the cleanup crew, who would go out after defend, like the main forces would defend the city, and then they would go out and like pick off and kill the nearly dead creatures and whatnot, and burn the bodies and stuff like that. So last game, they like I said, the players are brand new, never played D&D before. We had a bunch of social encounters. We didn't do any combat. I thought I'd save that for next Thursday. But they did a good job introducing their characters, and they ended up introducing their characters by like how they messed up. Like they were on their first operation and they kind of goofed, and so they kind of got to build some camaraderie of like how they helped each other, and like who was responsible for what, and this, that, and the other. They met a couple shopkeepers. They met a stocky dwarf named what was his name? Bertrand. Good hearty dwarf name. Got some horses from him. Their mission, so what's going on in the town right now is the creatures seem to be affected by the light, like they're at a bit of a disadvantage, but they still attack. They're very wild and nasty creatures. So the city has been building a wall, but to get the resources for the wall, they couldn't venture out because it was too dangerous. So they ended up sacrificing one of their farms to quarry the stone from where they were. So there's this big gaping hole in the ground where they quarried the stone. And they just recently finished the wall. So within this past year, they'd have like a little celebration of rebuilding the wall. But food supplies are starting to get really low, and their farming capacity is suffering. So it's like we're safe, but everybody's kind of ratcheting their belt buckle a little bit. So their quest is to venture out into the dark. There was a farming village a number of miles away, about a day's journey, that is probably ransacked and ruined, like abandoned and everything. But there was it was dedicated completely to farming, and so they're hoping that there will be like some leftover farm supplies and maybe like a dormant cache of seeds, which could be really, really helpful. So yeah, they spent the game talking with each other and kind of figuring things out, getting a game plan together, going to shops and getting supplies and stuff. And while they didn't do combat, they did like recall the little battle that they flubbed up in, and so they kind of got to feel out how combat descriptions and stuff like that work. So we've got a little bit of action in there. And when they left off, they had their little wagon, their little cart, and their horse, an old gray mare, because horses are kind of valuable and they didn't roll very well on the persuasion. But yeah, that's kind of where they're at, and they did great. I'm not sure if any of them are in the stream tonight, but I tell you what, those guys, they took like fish to water. I could tell they were kind of worried about, like how it might be, or like what might all be involved and everything. I thought they did great. I thought they did stinking-tastic. They were very the whole describe the scene, describe what you want to do, and then see what the outcome, like that whole game loop. They took to that like almost instantaneously. They thought very quickly and very early to ask questions about the environment, and even a little bit to challenge and negotiate. You know how that's like a really important skill. And they were doing great. I got to improvise. Let me flex my DM skill a little bit right here. I improvised pretty much the whole thing. I got sick for like 3 days beforehand, and couldn't do anything. I was just like, felt awful. And before that, I was gone on like sorry about that. I was going on like a week-long business trip, so I didn't get to invest hardly any time into it. So when I got back and I was actually feeling better, I dumped all of my time into like the setting, like where the towns are, where the cities are, what's going on with like the leadership, what's Nesnar doing, what's the Black Spider doing, like where is he set up at, so what are his ambitions, who are his lieutenants, all of that jazz. Lots of building blocks. The town that they're in is Scornable, which is close to Elturel, which is close to Baldur's Gate, if you're familiar with that area of Faerun. So I put a lot a lot of time into figuring out the location. But that's kind of like the way I DM though, is like tools to me are way more useful than content. If I know what kind of shop there is, I can easily make up a character who belongs there. If I know what kind of government is there, I can easily come up with like a bunch of characters. Like improvising characters isn't too incredibly difficult for me. Fortunately, because I know that's like one of the big things that a lot of folks struggle with. But yeah, Donovan and who was like this creepy, shifty, he almost like an really tall, skinny, hunched over elf version of Dobby the elf. That wasn't my intent when I came up with him, but like after the fact, I was like, dang, this guy reminds me of Dobby. He was a big hit. I think they really liked him. Had a lot of super funny, super awkward moments. He ran a dump, and they were just like trying to get supplies, and so he like people would drop stuff off, and he would like try to recycle it and this, that, and the other, and so they were trying to get oil from him, and he's just like trying to give them as many springs as possible for whatever reason. And then when they finally got the oil from him, he gave it to them in like this goat's bladder, just like a balloon with the top pinched, because they were like looking for oil for their lamp. And he like put a couple springs inside of it. Just silly stuff like that. It's really, really fun. But yeah, man, they were doing great. Absolutely wonderful. I'm excited to see what they do with their characters, because they've all expressed a really big interest in like the story side of things, and I'm interested to see like how much character development do they actually want to do. Like, do they have ambitions for their characters? Like, do they have their motivations worked out? Because it's one thing to say that you want to do storytelling. It's another thing to actually be able to pull it off. It's a different skill. Like it can be really challenging sometimes. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I suspect next. That was Shamgar's, and I put it on there. Whoopsie doozles. My bad. But there's not anything we can do about that now. Sorry, Shamgar. I didn't mean to do that. I should have looked closer, but what you gonna do? Just 3 sets of 3 goblins in a trench coat is not an army wash. Yeah. No, I actually made it like way too big, and like I had the hobgoblin captain casting prestidigitation and like what's the other one? What's the cleric one? And like amplifying his voice and like calling them out and this, that, and the other, and it was epic, but I think it was just like way too scary. I should have dialed it back. Learned a lot over the years. I've had 2 3-year campaigns since then. Yeah, I'm trying to make this not so much of a rush job, but unfortunately I'm in a rush tonight. We're almost ready for some paint though, so that's exciting. I'm anticipating though, after putting some paint on these guys, to have to clean up a couple things, because you normally can't see them too well with the black resin. And so it's like, once I get paint on, I'm gonna be like, oh, there's stuff there. Oh, we're gonna have to clean that up and then come back and paint it a little bit more. This guy was tough. What do you think is a good way to spin up a campaign beginning as a DM? When thinking about running a campaign, I often get really stuck on the intro of all things. A good way to spin up a campaign. So, I've done it a number of ways, but I don't know if I have done it so many ways that I can very easily say that this is the best way. I will say, though, getting player buy-in is probably the most important thing, in my own opinion. I think as a DM, it's really easy to fall in love with your story and want to tell a story that your players don't care about. Players are very selfish and self-centered, and that's not a bad thing necessarily, it's just that you have to recognize it. They care about their characters, and when the story is all done, they're going to care most about the moments that their characters had. It's all, like, being a DM is a very selfless act in that way. Is that you're helping them tell their story. You're not using their characters to tell your story. So, here's a couple ways that I've done the player buy-in. The first way is when you're sitting down to run a campaign, is to have the players, like, to give the players some options. Say, hey, here's 3 games that I'd like to run. Hold on, my wife's here. Hey, darling. Say, like, here's 3 games that I'd like to run. Which one interests you? And then involve them in the dialogue, and make sure it's something that you want to run to, because you're a player as well. But you're just one player. And then that way it's like it's something that they've already expressed interest in. It's something that they're jazzed up about. It's hard to get people interested in something they're not interested in. You can do it, but that's just challenging. So if you can get them invested ahead of time, then that makes things a little easier. The second way that I do it, and I think I've probably had the best success out of this, and I've done this once as a player and I've done this once as a DM, and that is build the world together. Build a custom world together and then play in that world. The 2 times I've done it, I've used a game system called Dawn of Worlds. That's what we used, that Josh and I used and the Wing Badger Tavern guys to build the Wing Badger Tavern Campaign 1. And then I also used it to build my Spelljammer game world. And what happens is, in Dawn of Worlds, you all take on the role of a deity, and there's very minimal rules, but you take turns building the world. Like, you build content, like you start with the map, and then you start peppering things all over the map. And so it's like, I raise a mountain out of the ground here, I shape the land, I create a race of people. I create an acolyte in that race of people. And it, like, starts in the age of creation, and you're creating them. And then it starts in the age of men, and you, like, create all your societies. And then the last one, it's like the age of civilization, and they, like, go to war, and you kind of, like, build all the history. And all the while, you're just kind of, like, chronicling every step. But then the cool thing is that when you do that, when you're actually playing the game, so then you would plan your campaign. You'd be like, we want to tell this story of this people in this area, right? We got like a cool little story. And it takes a little footwork. But what it happens is that the players, when they're playing, like, they already know the world. It's already, like, they've had their hands all over it. And they know the names of the civilizations, and they know the names of the people, and they remember the historical figures. That can be, like, a lot, teaching players to like, remember all of this stuff. And so it takes all of that out. Let's see what GMV says. This campaign I started with the party looking for information on a secret rebellion group fighting against the dragons. Just as they were about to walk into the tavern, an ancient black dragon obliterated the cathedral across the street from them. That's one way to get a hold of their attention. So yeah, Unused Taco, if you build the world together, then everybody is a part of the intro. You don't need to introduce the world. You don't need to describe, like, the two kingdoms have always been at war, you know, blah, 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 blah. Or it's been 4,000 years since the gods destroyed yada, yada, yada. Like, you can still say that, but they'll be like, oh yeah, I did that, you know? And then, since players care about themselves, they now care about that being part of the history. You know what I mean? Food for thought. There's different ways of doing it. Does that make sense? Were you talking on like a grander scale or like a smaller scale of like what should the first scene of my game actually be? Because that's different. Now, if we're talking about the first scene of a game, I do a couple things. My primary goal with the first scene of a game is to foreshadow as much of the story as possible. Well, that's like the last thing. Sort of on a smaller scale, but the bigger stuff helps too. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get people doing stuff. I want to get them moving. Once you get them rolling dice, then everything else kind of falls into place. So don't make them start rolling dice if you're teaching them. If they're new players, don't make them start with rolling dice. If they're old hat players, then make them start with rolling dice. So a couple things. There's this one principle called in media res, which means start at the action. If you've ever seen a movie where like the whole record scratch, you're probably wondering how I ended up here. It's like it starts with the action thing, blah, 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 and then we're in the action, and then we like cut back, or we like cut over to something else, or something like that. Something to grab their attention. You can do that, and I do that a lot. That's not a bad idea. But the first thing I like to do before we even start playing is to somehow get the characters to describe themselves, like to give their name and a description and tell them like a bit about their character. So what I did in this game was I started them in a room. They were like in this little side room of the church, and I was like, you're all sitting in this wood paneling room with like a little red carpet in the floor. There's some candelabras on the wall. There's one big heavy set door. You're all sitting in chairs. You're all in trouble. What did you do to like get in trouble? Like, describe your character. Tell me what you look like. I actually forgot to do that part. But I was like, tell us about yourself and tell me what you did to mess up. And then they got a chance to kind of like narrate their character and introduce who they were in that way. And then when the first character was like, and this is what I did, then that gave me something to bounce off of. And I was like, yeah. And so when you did that, it hurt the other character. And so I would look to the other character and be like, tell me about you. Like, how did this affect you? And it would kind of help give them something to build off of. And then the next person and the next person, and they kind of all got to introduce themselves and whatnot. I forgot to put kicker on the bottom of that stand because I'm not paying attention. It's already 9 o'clock. Oh boy. Have them be summoned to a family friend's funeral. Start them in jail from a bar brawl. Yeah, see, those are all great. Just something to get them all together. You can describe why they're there. Give them something to do. Hopefully something that is going to solidify them together and make them hang out as a group. You want them to describe themselves. and be accomplices in this adventure. You could start them in a car chase or a carriage chase. You know, you could be like, all right, and here our adventure begins, and then bam, start some music off. All right, you're all in the back of a, you know, like, so-and-so, there's a cart. You guys took the cart, you got the gold, you're running away. You're careening down the road, you know, blah, 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 blah. Jim, what character are you, what character are you playing? He's like, oh, I'm playing Michael Ivanhoff, the dwarf cleric. I'm like, all right, well, where are you in the car? Are you driving? Are you in the back? He's like, no, I'm not driving. I don't like animals. I'm in the back. All right, well, in the back, you see blah, 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 blah. You see these guys coming up behind you. Well, what are you going to do? And he's like, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe I could, you know, I could do such and such. I'm going to, you know, this, that, and the other. And then you're playing. You can get them to roll the dice. Then they're even that further down. And then you can just keep asking players where they are in the cart. And like once you start getting that rolling, and GMB can probably confirm this, once you get to that part, the game kind of takes care of itself. Then it's like, you know, one thing that you're describing, they're responding, and then you describe and they respond. And once you get that cycle going, bam, 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 that's just like, that's all there is to it. Last campaign, they were all going to watch the hanging of a bandit. The bandit's gang tried to spring him from the gallows, and the PCs helped the city guard. That's cool, because that means you can kind of, like, the PCs could have the option to help the bandits too, right? You know, so you got like branching paths there. Add a little bit of complexity. All right, let's get these guys some paint. Good question, Unused Taco. Campaign before that, one of the PCs was a stowaway on a ship running from the pirates. Once they landed in town, he had to beg the PCs to help him escape. Oh, that's cool. I like that. So in the dungeon delve that you can find on my old part of my YouTube channel, I had them. They were going to be doing a dungeon crawl down through, just like a dungeon crawl down through a dungeon on a deserted island. And so I had them start in the ship, but they were captured, and yeah, that's not cleaner. That's one. They were captured, and so it was like, you're all in cages. Like, what did you do to tick off the guy who's got you right now? So they kind of got to describe their crimes. We got to learn a little bit about them. They were all in there for separate reasons, but they were all in there together. And so if we're gonna get out of this alive, we got to do it together. You know, that kind of a thing. That's what I find to be the most useful. All right, we are doing airbrush. So that means we want to hit it with some gray primer. We want to what? Do I want to do gray primer, or do I want to do peach primer? Yeah, I want to do peach primer. And then we'll grab some flow improver. And we'll get the paint palette out of the way. That's going to be for later. We're going to mix up some paint. Starting campaigns is easy, in my opinion. It's once the lore gets really heavy and you got a whole bunch of things to remember. The later in D&D games is where it gets hard. I should run more shorter campaigns. I think I would probably enjoy D&D prep and adventures and stuff with more shorter campaigns. Wow, that's our first drop. First drop of the stream. It wasn't a mini though, so it doesn't count, right? Only counts if I drop a mini. And I slung that thing off of the table too. Shaboo! Ghetto spray booth time. Remembering all the improv stuff you've mentioned to the PCs is hard if you're bad at taking notes too. Yeah. I always have a place at the end of my notes to like immediately stop and take notes of like what exactly happened. I'm not really great at actually doing it, but session 1 of this game, I think I took pretty great notes. I would honestly really love to like mic myself and like record it and then dump it into, well, you have to mic everybody because you have to get them. If you could dump it into like an AI or something and have it keep track of all of that, holy cow, that would save so much time. Then you could like add it, I could add it to my Notion database and just like ask it questions of what happened. Like a little portable brain. Yay, I remembered to clean my airbrush last time. Alright, Glove. Hello, Glove. How are ya? Yeah, I was thinking of some kind of AI note-taking summary thing. Yeah. It's gotten really, really good, man. But like most things, I think the major benefits of AI right now is like, it's not like its current capabilities, but like the creative ways that people are going to figure out how to use it. Like if you could figure out a way, like voice recognition, it can do that, right? Remembering details, it can do that. Parsing voice into text, it can do that. Like all of the parts are there. You would just need to make an easy method of recording and capturing everything, and then an easy way of getting all the info out. Get it in, get it out, and it can kind of take care of the rest. I need a stir stick. Where's my stir stick? I'm going to use the back of this paintbrush as a stir stick. Because that's the way we roll. Chandler, if you're in the chat, we're getting into the you ain't seen nothing yet boo part. This will be nice to have this primed in cream. Since they're kind of like sun warriors, like light warriors, they'll have like a naturally more warm look to them. Yeah, wow, got the ratio from the get-go. Oh, and I've already found one goob. Already got one. Don't knock over the airbrush wash. I knew I was gonna find it. Right there. Connecting his right earring. There we go. All right, so let's try this again. Let's give it a light dusting. Anything else? See a little bit of something right there. See anything else? See a little something right there. Let's cut his thingy off. Poor guy. His thingy was now.
Children of the night, what music they make.
Oh, I see something on the hilt of his sword, too. Right there. Instead of more top-down, have you tried Zenithal from a top-side spray? Yes and no. Not top-side. But I did do an under Zenithal for some of the ghosty boys that I painted a long while ago. So I've experimented with it a little bit. Is the top side like significant? Like, does it like make a cool effect or something?
Dracula is our vampire.
You know what? I'm a goob. I am priming these guys. Like, I'm supposed to paint them black first. Man, I just mixed all this up, and I didn't even paint them black. All right, GMV, you've got more experience than me. Should I paint this over with black ink first, and then re-highlight them, or do you think just using the black resin, do you think that the paint will hold okay? I'm planning on using speed paints, yeah. I think I'm going to hit them all a little bit. Since I've already got it mixed up, I'm going to hit them so that I can see what I need to clean. And then I'm going to hit them with black. Unless GMV comes back with like a great nugget of wisdom. If it's a primer paint, you should be fine. Okay, so here's the thing though. Like, this stuff is a primer paint, but I'm not worried about this. I'm worried about the unpainted black parts, because like that's just raw resin. Normally I would hit it with the black ink and primer to like cover the resin with paint, and then I would hit it with this stuff. I don't think I want to paint on top of raw resin. Yeah. You know what? I've never done it. We could just try it. Wouldn't that be a dandy if it, like, the raw resin took the paint really well? And that could, like, save me a whole step. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Worst case scenario, we repaint him. And we'll shoot it a little under, just to give it something to stick to. That one actually came out really good. gonna switch to black, medium, brown, tan for a triple zenithal highlight. Ooh. Fancy. Alright. And then we'll get it on it. Normally, you know what? I actually don't, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't do it directly down from the top. I normally come at an angle to get their face. Because I like the face to be highlighted. So it is typically top, but it's not like completely top down. Let's be honest, I kill a lot of my shadows anyway. I'm going way too overboard, but oh well. Alright. That's good enough. Alright. Well, we just skipped priming and went, well, yeah, went straight to the zenithal. So that's fun. What do we got next? I guess I could hit him with the air gun, the hairdryer to dry him off a little quicker, and then start base coating him. We're at an hour and a half. Not too incredibly shabby. Alright, I am going to take a drink. I'm gonna go rinse out my airbrush. I'll be right back. Alright, did you miss me? Alright, I'm gonna mute the mic for a second while I hit them with some hot air. Still using the Anycubic, yep, still got the same Photon Mono X, the big boy. Although I am using new resin. I've got the ABS-like version 3, and it gets really good pliability. I don't want to risk breaking them, but like it's, you know, it's really good for minis. It doesn't shatter hardly at all. You really gotta flex it. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Go to spray booth. Go away. Get that out of the way. We're gonna get the wet palette out. I haven't touched these in a very, very long time. All right, guys, let me ask you, do you want this distance, or do you want this distance? Do you want to see more of like what I'm doing around here, what colors I'm pulling out, stuff like that? Or do you want, because I can show you details like this every once in a while, but I can't paint this close. Closer? All right. All right, and then actually that makes a lot of sense too, because I have this. Let's go. You know what? Let's do, what's his name? Ezrin. Let's do Ezrin first. Had to tear down my painting table, needed room for eBay inventory. Oh, that was a bummer. Gotta do what you gotta do, though. All right, let's grab our colors. I believe I have some red contrast paints. Blood Angels Red. Come on. Mix. A lot of these paints have been sitting up for a long time, too. Yeah, I'm using my mixer. That's just gonna take a little bit per one. If I wasn't zoomed in, you could see him. Oh wow, you can see like the wavy. Wow. I forgot it does that with like the rolling shutter. I think I'm gonna do Blood Angels red on his vest. And then we have like a cream. I'm thinking raspberry yellow? It's been a long time since I've looked at these colors. I think I may need to lay some of these colors down on this palette. Wow, even the mixer doesn't get everything off of the bottom. I should probably set myself like a calendar reminder every 3 months to mix these up. All right, let's grab a brush. Let's get our cup of water. That is bad water. I'm gonna get some water. All right. Yeah, I want to use that for his vest. Shouldn't have put that contrast paint on the wet palette. That was a silly move. Let's see what this Nesdrag. I want to I'm thinking for the parts around his vest, like the edges, the frill. No, that feels more like pants. I like how it's a bit more on the gold side. For this, I think I want to do bone. Where's my skeleton horde? That's gonna bring it further. Where's my skeleton horde? Dark Oath Flesh. Gilliman Flesh. Am I out of Skeleton Horde? Snakebite Leather. Is Skeleton Horde a wash? Maybe I have it up here with my washes. There it is. That's a contrast. Oof, look at that guy. He has seen some things. I've noticed that shaking it up by hand, like even if you put it on the mixer, you still want to shake it up by hand a little bit. Like the vibration doesn't do everything. You know what I mean? Also getting air pockets, so it's like if it's down a little bit and you can like turn it on its side so that the air is at the top, it'll like jiggle the stuff up around there. All right, let's try the skeleton horde out real quick. Yeah, that'll be good. Especially on top of that cream. All right. What else we got? We got some silver, which means that we're gonna want to hit it with like a dark gray. There's my silver. That silver's always been really on the thick side too. I might use this one. I'm gonna keep it out just in case. That one feels a little bit more liquidy. All right, and then this is our gunmetal. We're gonna want that for the axe heads. Actually, you know, what am I thinking? Silver. I want gunmetal for the metal stuff on here. Maybe silver for like his earrings. I think his earrings are technically silver. And where's my dark gray? That's stonewall gray, that's not dark enough. Probably gonna need a little of this and a little of that black. All right. Snap a picture. All right. We're gonna need a little green something for his quiver. Do you have any other stuff going on? What are we gonna do with those foot wraps? Snakebite leather's too yellow. Mantis warrior green. Orc flesh. Gut ripper flesh. We could do gut ripper flesh for his Oh, you know what? You know what? We haven't used speed paints yet. Let's do not orc skin. Camo. Let's do camo cloak for the quiver. Ooh, and he's got like this little electric blue thing. I bet he intentionally put that there. Axe head gunmetal with silver dry brush. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. Oh, his hair. His hair is also red.
you not tempted? He said, not the least. For little did the devil know the man talking was a priest. Come within these walls of mine.
Slaughter red.
Grab yourself a bottle of wine.
Which one of these is brighter?
Come within these walls of mine before the crusty night.
Blood red.
Let me table you and find yourself another
Oh, I think slaughter red's gonna work better for his hair. The shadows look a little nicer in the slaughter red. That's an idea. It's like his hair and the vest look like the same color red. The red's a little lighter. Actually, I think they're the same red, but they have different shadows. It's kind of what I was thinking. Like this one's kind of got like a darker shadowish to it. Maybe a drop of brown with it. Yeah. All right. I'm going to do... You know what? I was gonna paint the chainmail kind of a blackish first, but I think what I'm gonna do is I think I'm just gonna hit it with the gunmetal. I think I'm gonna hit it with the gunmetal and then put a black wash on it for the shadows. Let's do that. Let's put, ooh, we got a little gook. We need to get a pin out. Now I can grab that. And do we have, wish I had some acrylic medium. You know, GMV, I think I am actually to a point where I need one of those welding goggle magnifying glass things, headsets. My eyes have 100% gotten worse since I last painted minis. 100%, goodness gracious. Like, I'm actually kind of tempted to just look at my screen because it's zoomed in, you know? I do not have a young man's eyes anymore, that's for sure. Birth control goggles. That's funny. "6x reading glasses." I mean, I guess, yeah. It would make sense, because it wouldn't... I was like, I wouldn't be trying to make my prescription. I would be wanting, like, magnification. That's smart. Yeah, I hate that this is going to be a bit of a rush job, but it's unfortunately got to be a rush job. We're already running way out of time. I think I probably would have spent like, what, at least 3 hours on one mini last time. I'll tell you what, doing that single coat of primer really saved a good bit of time. Alright, what else do we got here? Belt buckle. Buckles on the front, buckles on the back. I probably have to come back and touch it up, but I might as well since I got paint on the brush. Stay away from the details, Wash. Stick to the plan. Alright, we're gonna batch paint this. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let's rinse this out. Let's copy you. Nope. Copy that. Yeah, I know, right? Heroes. Let's go. Created. Shamgar. Did we say Gar every time? Oh no! Nick didn't send his. Alright, well there's a lot of metal on here. We can go with this one for Shamgar. If anybody from the party is in chat and you can get hold of Nick, tell him to send me the link to his Hero Forge mini so that I can see the colors. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to use that one still image that he sent me. Alright, see you in a bit. She's got no metal on her. Except maybe the rings, but those are details. Also, I'm sorry, my dude, but player, but I'm not doing all that on the base. All right, Shamgar. Ooh, I kind of like the brass on the. Okay, so we have gunmetal and then we have brass, and it looks like the gunmetal is underneath the brass. Right, and we have gunmetal around the edge and then brass in the center. All right, so let's hit this shield. Let's get this gunmetal on here. For those of you at home that are interested in running a D&D game, but don't think you can because of all this fancy stuff, just know, you don't have to. D&D has a very, very low floor. It has a very high ceiling, but it has a very low floor. You can do a whole lot without making minis. And have a whole lot of fun doing it as well. Don't let a lack of minis stop you. I can get all of these guys done tonight, I think that's like going to be a record for me. 'Cause I normally do not work this fast. Venlini is going to be really easy. She's a lot of black and gray and white. Very streamlined, very thematic. Not a lot of separation in the pieces. Like not a lot of different chunks of armor and stuff like that. Oh, he's got chainmail too. He doesn't in game. That's higher defense. And I think, oh yes. For the brass parts of the armor, we're gonna do gunmetal, and then we're gonna put a tan wash on them. Seraphim Sepia. Heck yeah. We're gonna actually knock out a lot of this. Oh, I'm off the camera. Sorry, guys. Is that sword in a scabbard? Nope, that sword is bare. Oh man, this is gonna be great. I'm just now realizing too, I'm using that crappy brush that I just picked up to like throw colors down with. Should probably grab a better brush. Alright, what's going on under that shield? Is it wood on the back? Nope, still the same brass. Awesome. Water them. We'll let some of that cream shine through. Warm it up a little bit. What's going on with those pauldrons? Oh, there. Man, this guy's like almost all gunmetal. I'm loving that. And let's get the back side of the shield. It may look samey right now, but once we hit it with some washes, that'll help differentiate it a little bit and break things up. Also, having this much gunmetal is really going to make the red pop out. Oof, I might need more gunmetal. He's still got all of his legs. Yeah, it's like pretty much everything but like the back of his knees. Oh, the front. So yeah, the back is kind of like a leather. Okay. You know what the fun part about making minis for your players is? That when their character dies, you get to smash it with a hammer. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. Or do I? No, I don't. I put way too many hours into these things. I don't even let players take them home for the most part. When a campaign is done, I'll normally let players take them with them. But in my experience, players just aren't good at keeping up with them, or they get busted and stuff like that. So I normally hang on to them. What is that thing on the back of his? Oh, that's like gold. All right, that's something different. All right. Any more gunmetal on him? Pauldrons, anything on the backpack? Those are details. We don't worry about that. The shoes. So he's got like the cloth part where the shin plate comes down, but these actual fronts and back parts are also metal. A little heel that pokes through. All right. Hey, we got the link for Nick's character. Awesome. Let's pull that up real quick. Make sure we don't have any. That came out really good. Check that out. Make sure we don't have any gunmetal on him. Let's see. Shouldn't. Copy web address. Let's save this as rename Valinir. Valinir. Let me scroll. Dun, dun, dun. Valinor. N-O-R. Vanillor. What kind of lore? Vanillor. There we go. All right. Do we have any? Ooh, we got some fancy ice going on his stuff there. We have a belt buckle. I don't see any other gunmetal, so I think we are good. Oh, his collar. Oh, actually, it kind of looks like he's got a bit of a metal breastplate, but wizards can't wear metal breastplates, so we're not going to make it gunmetal. Okay. All right, we're letting those dry. Let's go ahead and knock out Funlania. So for her, this is going to be relatively simple. Even her rod is like an ebony. Now it's going to be tricky because it's going to be black on black on black on black. So let's do this black for her hair because it's shiny, and that'll simulate hair really good. The white is almost like a milky gray. So I'm thinking, nope, not that. That is not what I'm thinking. This one, Stonewall Gray with some white added to it. No. No. Let's put you away. Let's pull out our two thin coat paints. Do I have a white contrast paint? That a sepia wash. I have a two thin coats wash. That would be fun to try out. Apothecary white. Let's try. Let's see what apothecary white does. And then for our black, we have Gravelord Gray, which is pretty solid. And then we have Grim Black. That'll give us a couple options there. Almost. Come on. We're getting there. That one always has like a lot of powder at the bottom. Alright, this is looking really gray, but if I remember correctly, the gray settles and the white kind of ends up being on top. Wow, my cat hair is really getting everywhere. No, that will not work. But what it will do is it will let me put white on it. Like I can put white on it first and then I can chase it with that. So let's do that. Let's grab our star white? White star. Ooh, I guessed, and I was close. Use your speed paints, not your lollygagging paints. Yeah, I know, I'm trying. Oh, these stripes on her dress have very, Very little geometry. I believe I'm going to have to paint that black first. All right. Oh, we're busting out the little poopy popper. Fidget toys. Let's grab a Gravelord Gray. Dang, I should have taken like my whole lunch break today and just like shook up all of these paints. I think I want to give that a little bit of contrast medium. Alright, let's see if we can mess this up. We're doing her dress. Actually, you know what? Let's do the rod first. I feel like I'm beefing this one, if I'm being honest. I just don't like speed paints as well as I like GW's contrast paints. Like, I know that the speed paint V2s are better, but these are the V1s. I always forget that my phone, which is what I'm using for my camera here, like the camera's to this side. So it's like I want to get it directly under the phone, like in the center, and that puts it off here to the side. So sorry about that. I don't like that. I mean, that's okay for the rod, which is why I used it on that, but I don't know if I want that for her skirt and her clothes. I guess we can try Grim Black, but I remember very sparingly using Grim Black, and I don't really have any other black ones. I guess I could mix up some black paint and just like get a nice dark gray shade and then make it light enough so that I can hit it with some Nuln Oil maybe. It's funny because these things have like shakers in them, like mixing beads, and when I initially shake them up, they don't do anything. But then when they break loose from being in the mixer, Then they're just like shaka 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 shaka. All right, I'm just gonna go for it. Probably should have painted some highlights onto this first. That's what I'm thinking now. This is better. It's thicker and it's not pooling up as much. Almost feels dry. All right, what's she look like? Oh, black pants. Probably a bad idea, but we're respecting the player's vision right now. I mean, I guess the good news is that the paint is sticking to the lightly primed resin, so that's good. I think I'm gonna come back with some gray highlights on these. This is acting more like a light paint than a contrast. There's just not a lot underneath it to contrast with, and it's just covering really, really well. But that's okay. That's what he designed. See, I like that black on her hand. It's like very velvety. All right, we're gonna stick with this for the cloth. I goofed up a little bit there. That's okay. We're just gonna roll with it. What do we look like across the chest piece? All right, we're gonna paint a white stripe down those. The little poofy pauldrons are a lighter gray, and they should be a lighter gray. But again, I think the play here is to paint dark and build up our highlights. So yeah, probably didn't even need to bother with the zenithal highlight on this one, but you know what? Live and learn. Probably could have benefited from a brighter zenithal. All right. Well, we're gonna leave that to dry because that's a sweet thing, so that's gonna take a minute. There's that. Do we have any other blacks anywhere else? Here's leg wraps. There we go. Anybody else? No, he's all metal. Nope. Alright. We're going back to Ezrin. Ezrin, let's get some red on you, dog. No, no. Let's get some flesh on you. Let's grab a small brush. Let's grab this one going. And he's got a lighter skin. So we've got Dark Oath flesh. We have Gorgrunta, that's not that. Fire Slayer flesh. Gilliman flesh. And did I have another? I have another fleshy one up here. That's Cygor Brown. No, we don't want that. I think probably Gilliman flesh, maybe watered down a little bit. Maybe you could put a little contrast medium in it. Gilliman flesh is like a little pinkish. His skin's almost like a yellowish tint to it. I do have speed paints, Crusader skin. That's really pink. Pallid Bone. Sand Golem. I think Crusader Flesh is the only one that I have for that. We could try it though. Yeah, that'll work. It's a little dark, but you can always touch him up with a little peach. Does he have any other skin? Yes, he has fingerless gloves. Just like Michael Jackson. Ezra the Wood Elf is truly the Michael Jackson of D&D characters. He just doesn't know it yet. There we go. And I'm going to be a little speed paint. Oh, nah, see, his skin's a little tanner. Hers isn't. We can use the same on her. And him. Sweet. Bald. It must be getting late because I'm starting to get quiet. We're getting really close though, y'all. Once we get like in the end zone, it's just gonna be like pop, pop, pop. Worst case scenario, if I get them based and not highlighted, like we can at least play with them and then I can come back and do the details on them and stuff. You know? You know how it goes? I need to pull her up. I'm sidetracking a little bit. But honestly, a little bit of sidetracking and I think she's kind of like close to just being done. She's got like a little braid thing on her hair. That's white. Is that a support? It is. There's a support in there. Sneaky sneaker. Here's my knife. There we go. That's better. All right. Hit it with some hot air real quick. Fist? No, that's the thing in the front, so it's just the back. Alright, that's all the flush tone on her. Nope, got her feet. I feel like I'm painting eyes here. Dot of black, dot of white, a dot of black, a dot of white, a dot of black, a dot of white. Oop, we went over something, go ahead and go back. Oop, we went over something, go ahead and go back. Little hot air. Alright, let's get some skin on our feet. Ooh, she's almost done, guys. Do I have a too thin coats black? I'm pretty sure I do. Doom Death Black. What a great name. Hey, Chandler. For some reason, my YouTube, for you guys watching on YouTube, my YouTube chat isn't pulling in. Give me a second. Uh-oh, what the heck was that? Huh. Somebody on YouTube say something. I want to make sure your chat shows up in the main video chat. I think when the stream crashed earlier, it lost that because I had to like restart YouTube as a source or something. That is a very nice flat black. Let's see if it contrasts with the others. It does. I'm going to use that for the hair. I'm just now thinking about this, which is never a good sign, but I'm willing to bet this is going to look a lot different, not in full studio lighting. But that's Chandler's fault, because he made her black on black on black on black. This is a really good remix of Meridia from Super Metroid. A dry brush will help it, but we're gonna have to touch up some of the skin, because I missed a great big old spot on her forehead. Looks like I also clipped her ears off too with the black. So let's go ahead and get a little bit of that back in here. Can't see it. Okay. All right. I want to get this one done, so we're going to hit with the higher. Well, her hair is definitely black enough to separate from the rest of everything else. So that's good. That paint is taking very well to it. A little dry brushing will raise the details too. Doesn't he have like a black stripe on her sword? That does nothing for it. Oh well. Just gonna try and break things up a little bit here. Let's try to get some stark white that's not watered down. And let's bust out the eyeball brush. Oh, she's got those earrings. And she's got that necklace in the middle too. Coming along. All right. Let me look at this in some normal light. All right. I'm going to put some eyebrows on her. I think her body's done. I'm a little rough, y'all. Probably not a great thing that I'm doing the lady first. This is certainly turning into paint me like one of your French girls. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. It's not awful. Yeah? Hold on. It's not awful. It could be better, but it's not awful. I think we might have one done. All right. That means we're done with our flesh tone. Dang it. Goodness gracious, this is the longest base ever. Alright, I think I'm just going to hit the edge with this speed paint. Give it a nice solid color. and that way you can differentiate between it and the other minis. And we'll touch up the top again. She needs some highlights on her face. And I feel like I need to patch up some of the skin under her right eye. Not my finest work, but it feels good to be back in the saddle. And I'm definitely feeling the out of practice jitters, my muscle control. I'm not using the triangle of power. I need some more stability. Yeah, I better not jinx it. Alright, that's one down-ish. I might come back and fiddle. Alright, who else can we knock out? It is 11 o'clock. I think I want to knock out Azran. Let's get some Blood Angel Red onto him. Oop, that was the wrong brush. right. Let's snap a picture. Wow, this application is terrible at taking pictures. Alright, let's get our other slaughter red. We were going to add a touch of brown to it. Let's see. Let's add some... Let's add some dark wood to it. And a little bit of contrast medium. And let's grab our eyeball brush. Let's grab some white. And let's hit. Oop. Oh, it's hot air first, actually. Yeah, let's give him some highlights in his hair. Yes, sir, you look like Colonel Sanders right now, but not for much longer. Soon you will look like young Colonel Sanders. Well, not 100% the color I was going for, but it definitely is distinct between it and the vest, which is arguably the most important part. He's also missing some skin. I missed some pretty big parts. Where is my skin? Nope. Where'd I put my skin? Where'd my skin go? Fire Slayer Flash, Dark Oath Flash. Nazdrag, Skeleton Horde. Put it back in here. Yes, Skeleton Flash. Okay, I think that's it for skin. What else we got on him? It's looking good, actually, GMB. Like, I haven't noticed any odd... yeah, I haven't noticed any, like, oddness with how the paint is attaching to it. So, I think I probably hit it with enough residual primer that it's okay. Which is nice. Saved a bunch of time on that one. Causing a lot of mistakes. But, you know, as long as it looks good from 3 feet away, right? That's what my channel has always been about. My painting goals have always been, it looks great at 3 feet away. Should have let that dry first. Alright, I'm gonna hit this and then finish the vest. Actually, while that vest is drying, let's do a bunch of brown. Let's grab our Nazdrag yellow. Hit the pants with it. I don't use Nazdrag yellow very often, but this is actually turning out to be like a pretty decent leather color. I think it's more yellow if you, like, the thinner you put it on thicker, it ends up being more brown. Obviously, because brown is dark yellow. But, you know, don't tell the government that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna hit the belts with these two. And then I'll come back and do like a highlight to differentiate them. I just don't want to fight all the cracks and crevices. And let's get his wraps in these two, his arm wraps. Dang it. Wow, I beefed that one hard. Holy cow, this Nazareth yellow doesn't want to come out of a brush. That's some potent stuff right there. That's Droppy McDrop number 2. Alright, where's my skeleton horde? Here's my skeleton horde. I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I'm going to use a contrast paint with my eyeball brush. Gotta knock this stark white off or else he's gonna look like Santa Claus. Alright, he's coming along. What do you think? Feels pretty good. Feels pretty balanced. Let's grab this dark wood for the bow. He changed the bow. He's got a different bow model. That is okay. It is within his right. Alright, we are not going to finish tonight, but we might be able to get these two done. I'm just gonna put Skeleton Horde on his canteen and keep it within the color scheme. Go. Let's get that camo green on here. I did mix the colors for the red hair. I put a little brown in, and I put a little, put the dark oak in with the slaughter red, and then I also put a little bit of contrast medium. But it ended up being very cold, even despite the purple. Like, his hair almost has like a magenta hue to it. So I think what I'm gonna do is put some orange highlights in it, and that will that'll warm it back up. That'll take the edge off of the cool. Alright, where's my Null Oil? A sepia wash? You think so? Have you used the Too Thin Coats wash? I have this archaic sepia wash that I've not used before. Not sure if I want to experiment with it on his hair. I gotcha. My eyes are starting to get bleary, so I think we're going to finish him and then we're going to call it a night. Let's put some eyes on this guy. See how bad we can do it. Let's really mess it up. Let's mess it up good. Oh, I messed it up good. Mission accomplished. All right. Think it's starting to come back to me. Solid. Almost had fall number 3. Don't breathe. All right, he's looking to the right. Dang, that was actually pretty good. That makes me want to do Benlania again. See, he's kind of looking to the right. He should be looking where his axe is pointing, but I kind of don't want to mess it up now. All right. Let's trace that beautiful black border that I love to put around smooth-edged bases. Oh, it's so crisp. It's so clean. Alright, he's gonna need some touch-up. He's gonna need some... I don't know, I feel like he needs something. Probably needs like some silver on the axes and stuff like that. But I think we're gonna call him good for the night. Let's take a picture. Cat hair everywhere. Story of my stinking life. Alright, that's 2 done. Alright, let me send this off. Doop-da-da-doo. Alright. Da-da-da-da. Let's take an inventory real quick. Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of different... I mean, it's not gonna be so bad. If I remember his image. I don't think we're gonna do all that crazy, but we do have like some blue under here. We have like that's gonna be relatively easy. One color for all of that, and a darker one for the cape. We do have some details and some blue in here that we're gonna have to adhere to, and the yellow around the thing. I am not gonna be spending the time on all of that, unfortunately. Oh, and he's got a different base. Oh, did I put the wrong base on him too? I did. Oh yeah, okay. So, whoops, Shamgar got your fancy base. But it's alright, I'm not gonna be painting that one. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be a bit. Let's see, we got him done. Shamgar. Could we finish Shamgar tonight? No. We still gotta do, I mean... He honestly doesn't have much left. He's got like the red. What time is it? We got 20 minutes to midnight. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're not going to do Gilliman Flesh. I wanted to do Dark Oath. Dark Oath or Fire Slayer Flesh? One of these was like a darker skin. We're gonna knock him out. Yeah, this one. Let's go small brush because we got to get down there behind his neck. Fingers are exposed. 24-hour stream. You the funny man. You are so hilarious and humorous with your humor. It is oh so fun. Oh, they got supports. Got him. Nope, don't get in the feral. Get out of there. Alright, let's take a look. I didn't realize this was Chrono Cross until just now. Alright, probably the better one. Wow, that actually turned out really good on his skin. Alright, while that is doing its thing, I'm going to put some wash on. No, let's do some red. Red on the metal. Where's the rattle to the metal? Blood Angels red. That was too much. we go. Where else do we have red? All right, that's our red. Nasdrag yellow. All right. Yeah, I don't think I want to put that there. I think I want... snakebite leather. And actually, before we do that, let's grab some of this dark oak and hit the haft of this spear. What color is our hair? Kind of like a sandy brown. This song sounds insanely familiar. Oh, Chronopolis. Or Chrono Cross. That snakebite leather does not look too incredibly different from the Nasdreg yellow. The Nasdreg yellow actually looks more like pink. Yeah, the gray, it's almost like gelatinous. Like the texture is just way off. I think I might just put some Seraphim Sepia on his head, like on his, for his hair. If I have any. Oh yeah, I got some. Ooh. We got 2 minutes. I don't think I'm going to make it. Alright, where else is our brass? It's on the chest plate, it's on the knees and the feet. Yeah, that was the right choice. Put some of this wash on this gunmetal. That looks great. Wow, that looks great. Look at that. Where else do we got? In the back of the gauntlets, it looks like. Got to be careful putting this stuff onto the hair dryer because it'll push this stuff around. Alright, now they get that Nuln oil. This song would be a lot better without the vocals. Sorry, not sorry. I'm sure they really enjoyed making it. Alright. I think that's good enough for tonight. Alright, before I get roped into something else, I'm going to sign off. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. Belly, I wish you were here. GMB, thank you so much for hanging out. It was super nice to see you again. I hope that your remaining treatments go super duper well. And everything works out great. Thank you so much, everybody else who showed up. Thank you, everybody on YouTube who commented but wasn't showing up in here. I fixed it too late. Thank you so much for everything and all the support and all the liking and the subscribing and the commenting, and I will see you next time.